Listen, if you think silver is just some boring metal your grandparents talk about, you're about to be very wrong. Because right now, something weird is happening, and almost nobody is paying attention. And that's usually when money is made. See, every time in history when an asset gets ignored like this, when people stop talking about it, when it feels dead, that's when smart investors quietly start moving in. And I'm gonna show you exactly why. But here's the thing. This isn't one of those hype videos where I tell you, silver is going to the moon tomorrow. Nah, that's not how real money works. This is deeper than that. Because once you understand what's actually happening behind the scenes, you might start looking at silver very differently. And honestly, you might feel a little uncomfortable ignoring it after this. Now think about this for a second. Right now, everyone is obsessed with the same stuff. Stocks, crypto, real estate. It's all over the internet. Everywhere you look, it's the same conversation. But silver? Nobody's talking about it like that. And that's exactly the point. Because markets move in cycles, and attention moves in waves. And when something loses attention, it doesn't always mean it lost value. Sometimes, it just means people got distracted. And distraction is expensive. Now here's where it starts getting interesting. Silver isn't just some shiny metal sitting in a vault. That's what most people think. That's the surface level understanding. But in reality, silver is everywhere. It's inside your phone, your laptop, solar panels, electric vehicles, medical equipment, even the systems that power future technology depend on it. So while people are busy chasing trends, silver is quietly being used to build the future. Let that sink in, because this creates a weird situation. And this is where the opportunity starts forming. On one side, you have increasing demand, not hype demand, real demand, industrial demand, the kind that doesn't care about YouTube trends or Twitter opinions. And on the other side, you have a price that doesn't fully reflect that demand. That gap? That's where things get dangerous or profitable, depending on which side you're on. And most people don't even realize this gap exists. They just look at the price chart and think, nothing's happening. But that's the mistake, because price doesn't always tell the full story, especially in the short term. Now here's a question nobody really asks. What happens when demand keeps rising, but supply doesn't keep up? Think about it. Silver mining isn't something you can just turn on overnight. You can't snap your fingers and double production. It takes time, years sometimes. So if demand keeps climbing, and supply struggles to keep up, something eventually has to adjust. And it's usually the price. But here's where it gets even more interesting, and honestly a little uncomfortable. There are a lot of people who believe silver has been, let's just say, held back. Not in some crazy conspiracy way, but in a way where the price doesn't fully reflect its real-world importance. And whether you believe that or not, one thing is clear. If that pressure ever releases, the move won't be slow. It won't give everyone time to react. It never does. And by the time the average person realizes what's happening, it's usually too late. That's how markets work. Now I'm not saying silver is guaranteed to explode. Nobody can promise that. But what I am saying is this. The setup right now, it's not normal. And ignoring it completely might not be the smartest move. Because the biggest risk isn't always losing money. Sometimes, it's missing the opportunity entirely. And people don't talk about that enough. They talk about fear of losing, but not fear of missing something that was right in front of them the whole time. And trust me, that feeling hits harder. But we're not done yet, because in the next part, I'm going to break down exactly what could trigger silver to move, and why when it does, It might move faster than most people expect. Now here's where things start to tighten up. Because everything we talked about so far, it sets the stage. But the real question is, what actually makes silver move? What flips the switch? Because without a trigger, nothing happens. And this is where most people get it wrong. They think price moves randomly, or based on hype. But real moves? Big moves? They usually come from pressure building over time, and then releasing all at once, like a spring being compressed. And right now, there are a few things quietly adding pressure. The first one is inflation. Now I know, people throw that word around a lot, but don't tune out, this matters. When money loses value, people start looking for assets that hold value. That's when metals like silver and gold start getting attention again. Not hype attention, protective attention. And when that shift happens, it can be aggressive. Because it's not just investors, it's institutions, it's large money, it's people trying to protect wealth. And that kind of money doesn't move slowly. Now add this on top. If the dollar weakens, even slightly, that alone can push metals higher, because silver is priced in dollars. So when the dollar drops, silver often moves the other way. It's like a pressure balance. And here's the thing most people don't realize. These shifts don't happen in isolation. They stack. Inflation, currency changes, demand increases, supply pressure. Individually, they might not seem huge. But together, that's when things get real. And this is where people start getting caught off guard. Because while they're busy watching trending assets, this slow buildup is happening in the background. Quiet, boring, ignored, until it's not. And when it stops being quiet, that's when everyone suddenly starts talking about it. That's when headlines appear. That's when YouTube blows up with, "I told you so," videos. But by then, you're not early anymore. You're reacting. And reacting is expensive. Now let's be honest for a second. Silver isn't perfect. It's volatile. It can stay flat for long periods. It can frustrate you. This isn't some magical asset that only goes up. And if you go into it with that mindset, you're gonna get burned. But if you understand the bigger picture, if you understand the role it plays, and why it might be mispriced right now, then you're not guessing anymore. You're thinking. And that alone puts you ahead of most people. Because most people don't think. They chase. They wait for validation. They wait until something is already moving, already trending, already safe. But safety in markets is often an illusion. By the time something feels safe, the opportunity is usually smaller, and the risk is hidden. Now here's the part nobody likes to hear. Doing nothing is also a decision. Ignoring something is also a choice. And every choice has a cost. So the real question isn't, is silver guaranteed to explode? That's the wrong question. The better question is there enough happening here that I should at least pay attention? And for a lot of people, the answer to that is yes. Not blind hype. Not going all in. Just awareness. Because awareness leads to better decisions. And better decisions. Over time. That's how you actually build wealth. Not chasing every trend. Not gambling on every headline. But understanding, positioning, and acting when it makes sense. So yeah, silver might not look exciting right now. It might feel slow, boring, overlooked. But sometimes, that's exactly where the opportunity is hiding. And the people who see it early, they're usually the ones who win later. So don't ignore it. Just don't be the last one to notice either. And if you want more breakdowns like this, simple, real, no hype, hit subscribe. Because there's a lot happening in the money world right now. and most people are looking in the wrong direction.